At 6.
I'll say it's 6.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a major American arms sale. And because the president has announced it in the heat of a political campaign, it has become the lead item on our campaign watch tonight. Last week, while campaigning in Texas, Mr. Bush announced he would sell fighter jets to Taiwan. The planes are made in Texas. Today in Missouri, he announced that he will sell more than 70 of America's most advanced fighter planes made in Missouri to Saudi Arabia. ABC's Brett Hume reports from St. Louis on all the people and the countries which this one arms sale will affect.
The White House insisted the president's decision was a matter of foreign policy, but no one denied that the time and place of the announcement was pure domestic politics.
I have decided to notify Congress to sell up to 72 of your F-15s to the country of Saudi Arabia.
They applauded because they build the F-15, these workers at McDonnell Douglas in St. Louis. Administration officials say the $9 billion deal will support as many as 40,000 jobs nationwide, including many in this swing state and many in politically crucial California. Officials insist Saudi Arabia needs these fighters because it's a loyal ally menaced by Iraq and by an Iran soon to be equipped with new warplanes bought from Russia. The president, officials say, cleared the deal with Israel during Prime Minister Rabin's recent meeting with the president in Maine. But isn't the president doing just what he promised not to after the Gulf War, pumping in more arms and thus destabilizing the region? He insisted not.
And it'll help guarantee the peace in the Middle East. As president, I must consider that. I also must consider the fact that these guys need jobs. So it's a combination that worked out. It's a win-win situation.
The sale seems likely to win in Congress, too. It would take a two-thirds vote in both houses to stop it. And with Israel not fighting it, it's hard to see where major opposition would come from. Even Mr. Bush's opponents seem prepared to go along. The Saudis, said Governor Clinton today, have a right to modernize their forces. Britt Hume, ABC News, St. Louis.
Move on to the Clinton campaign today. So far in this campaign, the Republicans have sought to claim that so-called family values somehow represent a set of reasons why people should vote for President Bush and not for Governor Clinton, which is surely why Mr. Clinton made values the focus of a major speech he made today on the University of Notre Dame campus in South Bend, Indiana. ABC's Chris Bury was there.
Governor Clinton, a Southern Baptist, chose the Catholic campus of Notre Dame to argue in his strongest terms yet for the values that he says underlie his campaign. Above all, Clinton called for tolerance. He condemned the Republicans in general for their intolerance, and Pat Buchanan specifically, because Buchanan said the country needs a religious war.
Well, America does not need a religious war. It needs a reaffirmation of the values that for most of us are rooted in our religious faith.
The Catholic Church, of course, opposes Clinton's position on abortion rights. And today, Clinton's boisterous supporters struggled with loud abortion opponents who protested and heckled throughout the speech. But Clinton drew his strongest response of the day when he stated his pro-choice position, albeit in a subtle way.
If we truly believe that children are God's most precious creation, then surely we owe every child born in the United States the opportunity to make the most of his or her God-given potential.
Clinton reiterated his argument that he, unlike President Bush, supports family values by backing the family leave bill. And Clinton cited the tradition of community service as the philosophy behind his plan to let college students repay government loans.
Millions of energetic young men and women serving their country by teaching the children, policing the streets, caring for the sick, working with the elderly or people with disabilities, building homes for the homeless, helping children to stay off drugs and out of gangs, giving us all a new sense of hope and real, limitless possibility.
Clinton's speech was aimed directly at suburban voters, including Catholics, who may be turned off by Republican interpretations of family values. The idea was to portray Clinton as a model of tolerance on such questions and the Republicans as captives of the religious right. Chris Bury, ABC News, South Bend, Indiana.
We have two campaign notes about the Quayles tonight. At the Republican convention, Marilyn Quayle spoke of giving up her job to raise a family. a lot of people were upset, took it as criticism of Hillary Clinton in particular and working mothers in general. Nonsense, says Mrs. Quayle. Writing in the New York Times today, she said, my remarks have been twisted. The choices I made were right for me. I don't hold them up as right for every woman. And the Vice President had something to say about the New York Times today. It seems the Times misspelled his name, left out the Y. In a moment, football and free agents, the mountain of trash left behind by Hurricane Andrew, and our person of the week, suddenly a role model.
This just isn't me. This just isn't my kind of love.
Maine to California.
You're kidding me.
People just like you win thousands, win millions out of the blue.
Yes.
Miracles can happen for you.
Holy cow.
Publishers Clearinghouse, the house where dreams come true.
I drink V8 because...
Hey, I think it's good for me. It makes me peppy.
You got your vitamin A, your vitamin C.
I like it because it has those beta-carotenes in it. What's that word?
Beta-carotenes.
Pardon? Beta what? You know, beta-carotene. Muy sabroso.
Call me crazy, but I think it's delicious.
35 calories. Really?
35?
Yes.
It's a kick.
I love you.
V8?
V8 keeps me thin.
It's zippy kind of thing, a zippy thing.
Professional football's in the news again. The next big battle is going to be fought in the boardrooms. Yesterday, you may have heard a jury ruled that the NFL's free agent bargaining rules, under which team owners may prevent their best players from taking a better offer from another team, are illegal. The owners say their system, which they call Plan B, is the only way to keep pro football profitable. Here's ABC's Dick Shepp.
What happens next? Does Barry Sanders abandon the Detroit Lions and become a Chicago Bear next week or next season? Does Randall Cunningham leave the Philadelphia Eagles and become a Los Angeles Raider? Does the structure of pro football change dramatically because a jury of 8 women has struck down Plan B? It depends. Plan B allows each NFL team to keep 37 of the 47 players on its roster, leaving only 10, the least desirable 10 basically, as free agents, free to entertain offers from other teams. The jury ruled that Plan B restricts the players too greatly, limiting their right and ability to earn fair salaries. But the jury also said that the NFL was entitled to some degree of restriction. How much? Should 30 players be restricted, or 20, or none? That's still up in the air. Right now, the players say they have won a huge victory.
This is a major stepping stone, and this is the first step of hopefully some great things to come for the players in the future.
The owners say they have suffered a small defeat.
They now have compelled me and the owners to go back to the table to devise a new system.
Which side is right will depend on perhaps years of court cases or, more likely, serious collective bargaining. Clearly, more players in the NFL will be able to change teams, and salaries probably will rise from the present average of $400,000 a player, which is less than half what baseball and basketball big leaguers earn. How many players will move and how high the salaries will go won't be known for a while. The owners want to spend as little as possible. The players want to make as much as possible. No one is unselfish here. Dick Shepp, ABC News.
In some of the other economic news today, every indication that inflation is still being kept at bay. The government says that wholesale prices were up just 0.1% in August. The cost of some items like gasoline and children's clothing actually went down. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials gained just half a point to close at 3305, and the trading was moderate. For the week, stocks gained more than 23 points. In Warwick, Rhode Island, 18 striking school teachers are going to jail because they won't go to class. The teachers are among nearly 1,000 who ignored a judge's back-to-work order on Wednesday. The judge says the 18 teachers will stay in jail until they agree to go back to work. Well, school's only been open for a few days in Los Angeles, but the system there is already in deep trouble. Los Angeles school officials must come up with $400 million to close a budget deficit. That's going to mean a big cut in teachers' salaries. The teachers are fighting back by refusing to work beyond normal school hours. Students and parents are feeling the squeeze. And here's ABC's Brian Rooney.
Nearly every day, hundreds of Los Angeles students have marched out of class to protest the 17% pay cut the school board says is necessary to balance its budget.
We're the ones that they're going to hurt. Stop hurting us. Cut it somewhere else. Don't take it from our education. We're the future. You're hurting us.
The teachers have also demonstrated, and they are talking about a strike if the pay cut is imposed.
We're concerned about these young people. We want them to be able to leave this place, go to college, or get decent jobs, and that's not happening anymore.
The teachers say that if their salaries are reduced, they will have to take second jobs to pay their bills.
I refuse to believe that there's anyone whose pay would be cut by this in this magnitude. They would say, well, I'll just keep doing everything I always did, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to volunteer for more.
The teachers union is urging its members to stop volunteering for any activity outside the classroom, stop buying their own instructional materials, and to stop any extracurricular work. That means the teachers will not go to the annual parent-teacher nights, which are the only chance working parents have to visit schools and meet with their children's teachers.
That's going to mean that a lot of parents are going to be less informed about what's going on with their sons and daughters.
In previous years, the Los Angeles schools could have asked the state of California for a bailout, but this year the state has no money to help. That means the parents, students, teachers, and the school district will have to solve this crisis themselves. Brian Rooney, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Other news today, a 17-year-old boy with a handgun opened fire into a crowd of his fellow high school students in Amarillo, Texas today. At least 6 of them were wounded, 2 very badly. Police say the gunman was apparently having an argument with another student just before he started shooting. We told you last night about a pregnant mother who was arrested in Suffolk County, New York for smoking crack. The police arrived at the house after her young daughter supposedly called for help. Turns out it was the mother, pretending to be a child, who called. She says she needed help. She thought the police would come quicker for a child. In a moment, more of the hurricane's aftermath. What do you do with tons of trash?
Is this seat taken?
No, please.
So that's what you're eating? Too bad.
This is a whole grain cereal.
Yes, with sugar and preservatives.
Oh, and I suppose that you're a Kellogg.
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain, it's made with pure whole grain.
Oh, really?
It's the only whole grain cereal without sugar or preservatives added.
The only one? I didn't know.
I know.
So what else should I know?
You have milk on your chin?
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain, as good as whole grain gets.
It was unreal. You woke up with morning breath. You were meeting Miss Wonderful for breakfast, and instead of minty fresh scope... Where's my scope? There was something from the Medicine-y mouthwash. It looked blue, but it still smelled somewhat medicine-y. I need my scope! It's okay. Relax. It was all a dream. You do have scope. It's minty through and through and kills 90% of morning breath bacteria. So you use minty fresh scope, and you kiss morning breath goodbye.
I live in the country, where everything tastes a little sweeter and a little fresher. Maybe that's what I like best about these Sunsweet pitted prunes. I can taste all that goodness in Sunsweet.
Ace means quality, so look for this name.
I know you're getting the very best.
Right, Dad.
Ace 7-Star Satin Latex Wall and Trim Paint is just $10.97 a gallon, and Ace Silicone Sealant is only $1.99 a tube.
Ace Label Product.
Another reason why Ace is the play.
For you.
Another hurricane is headed for the United States. This one is in the Pacific. Thousands of people have been ordered to evacuate beachfront property in the Hawaiian Islands, including the luxury hotels on Waikiki Beach. The hurricane is named Iniki. It could hit later tonight with winds up to 165 miles an hour. The Hawaiian Islands haven't had a hurricane for 10 years. We'll keep you up to date as it moves along. For the first time since Hurricane Andrew, nearly 3 weeks ago, most of Dade County has fresh drinking water again. The first supermarket has reopened in the hardest hit area. Andrew left an estimated 62 million cubic yards of debris behind it, nearly enough to cover all of Manhattan Island, 3 feet deep. Cleaning up all that trash may be adding to the environmental damage already done. Here's ABC's Barry Serafin.
The hurricane left debris across an area bigger than Rhode Island. Now an army of city, county, private, and military crews is trying to clean it up. Before the hurricane, 300 trucks a day hauled rubbish to the South Dade landfill, known locally as Mount Trashmore. Now, 2,000 trucks a day are lining up to dump everything from broken trees to broken furniture. Officials say the flood of rubble could overwhelm all available landfill space, and there is no time to sort it.
We're not going to be able to do everything exactly the way we would normally do it. We don't generally, in 24 hours, produce 30 years of garbage.
So they are burning it all day, every day. The smoldering trash is not supposed to include any hazardous or toxic materials, but it does. Things like tires and rubber padding for carpet have not been sorted out. And new so-called temporary burning sites are springing up all over Dade County. There are more than 40 of them now, and their smoke darkens the sky. Environmentalists say that smoke is polluting the air, and they warn that toxic ash could seep into the soil and taint groundwater.
We're going to pollute our own drinking water, we're going to foul our land, and we're going to waste materials that later could have been dealt with in a safer, better way.
Environmentalists say instead of being burned, hurricane debris should be stockpiled and sorted out later for mulching and recycling and normal disposal. But that, say officials, is not realistic.
You're talking about stockpiling entire households, thousands of them. There simply is not a holding site that will hold all of this material in Florida.
The massive job of cleaning up is just beginning, and the smoky legacy of Hurricane Andrew may last until spring. Barry Serafin, ABC News, Homestead, Florida.
When we come back, foreigners under attack in Germany. Why so many Germans are standing by and watching.
If your feathers have been ruffled by downdrafts in the market, get on board something big, safe, and secure. GetNet. It pays.
I need a laxative that can work dependably.
Doxadan can.
But can it be gentle?
Doxadan can. Doxadan works dependably overnight with a special ingredient for gentle relief.
Dependable, yes. Gentle, yes.
Doxadan can.
To those of you who have a certain image of minivans, Nissan introduces the Quest. It has a V6 engine, so it's more powerful, and front-wheel drive, so it's more nimble and agile than you'd expect a minivan to be. After all, just because you have kids doesn't mean you have to drive a bus. The new 7-passenger Nissan Quest. It's time to expect more from a minivan.
With steadfast stares, the people cry, bring future new worlds. Time that goes by, the touch, the feel, the fabric of our lives. The touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives.
Vittorio! Ciao! You may not be aware that Babbo Italian bread shell is made with fresh mozzarella and Parmesan cheeses, garlic and imported olive oil.
Oh, it fills my heart with joy to see you eat so well.
Mamma, when you have things like chicken and fresh vegetables.
More broccoli, Vittorio.
You have created your own magnificent pizza in just 8 minutes, huh? Crispy outside, soft inside.
Eat, mangia.
Remember, only you can top Baboli.
But don't eat so fast.
In South Africa tonight, evidence that the latest massacre may have convinced the government and the African National Congress they'd better start talking again. 4 months after they broke off negotiations about how to share power, the two sides are trying to arrange a meeting between ANC leader Nelson Mandela and the South African President F.W. de Klerk. In Germany, last night, more violence. This time, neo-Nazis who'd planned another attack on a building housing foreign workers got into a battle with anti-Nazi activists outside. What has disturbed a lot of people is how few counter-demonstrations there have been. Many ordinary Germans have either stood by and watched the attacks, or they've cheered on the attackers. ABC's Jerry King has gone to one German city looking for an explanation.
Most of the rioters were young, so it's easy to dismiss them as bored thrill seekers. What's surprising is that so many of their older countrymen agree that Germany should reduce the number of refugees seeking asylum here.
We have 2 million unemployed. We have more than 2 million people with minimum incomes. Young people have lost hope. You have to understand that frustration builds up.
Eisenhüttenstadt is a typically gray Eastern German city whose one major industry, a steel plant, may soon shut down. So no one here complains anymore that asylum seekers take jobs away from Germans. Now the concern is they're a drain on the treasury.
They take away our tax money, money that we have worked hard for. It has to be millions, if not billions, we are spending on these people.
Local residents have a whole catalog of complaints.
The dirt, the filth, the noise.
And the kids share their parents' intolerance.
The skinheads should come and storm the asylum camp and drive them out.
Most of the people who live in the neighborhoods of these asylum centers insist they do not have a blind hatred of foreigners. But they admit they'd be a lot happier if the neo-Nazis were to drive out those asylum seekers whose behavior they find particularly offensive. Gisela Berger is appalled by what goes on in her backyard.
Every day we are confronted with foreigners who hang out right there. They make love on the lawn in front of the children. You can see them urinating. You can't tell me we have to tolerate this. It's disgusting.
Such anger has become so widespread that all the major political parties agree Germany can no longer be Europe's open door for refugees. Jerry King, ABC News, Eisenhüttenstadt, Germany.
We'll be back in just one moment.
World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, and the Person of the Week is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles.
This vehicle has a number of features that make it an extremely secure place to put money. So does this one. The Lexus LS 400. With the highest retained value in its class, it's like money in the bank.
Good morning, America!
Good morning.
Good morning. Wake up, you sleepyhead.
Good morning to you and you and you.
Get up, get out of bed.
Every morning all across America, over 50 million people come to life with Delta faucets.
Live, love, laugh and be happy.
Good morning, good morning.
Delta, the way water is brought to life.
Grandma's got a date. What's a date?
Closeness. You might hesitate if you wore a diaper. So Johnson & Johnson created Serenity Guards. Bladder control protection so advanced, it holds as much as something 5 times its size and stays dry, locking liquid in. And now there's Serenity Super Plus with even more super absorbance. So if you've been looking for extra protection, give yourself hugs for discovering Serenity Super Plus.
2020 blows the MIA scandal wide open. American prisoners from 3 wars shipped to the Soviet Union, and our government knew.
They took them, they kept them. We knew it.
At last, the shocking truth. 2020 tonight.
Finally this evening, our Person of the Week. He has certainly been in the news this week and last week as well, for that matter. It's the politicians who take him most seriously, President Bush and Governor Clinton particularly. It isn't so much that he's made a difference in this political campaign. It is that others hope he will somehow rub off on them.
At no time in our history has unity among our people been so vital as it is at the present time.
Harry Truman had no particular reason to believe he would ever be president, but in 1945, as the Second World War in Europe was drawing to a close, Franklin Delano Roosevelt suddenly died. 4 weeks after Germany surrendered, the once-upon-a-time farm boy from Missouri was sitting with Joseph Stalin and Winston Churchill, making plans to put Europe back together again. And when Joseph Stalin refused to let Eastern Europe go, it was the Truman Doctrine put in place to contain the Soviets for the next 40 years.
Men with courage and vision can still determine their own destiny.
Harry Truman did something no other president has ever done. He made the decision to drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
We dropped the bombs and they surrendered in a very short time after that.
Why is it that almost 50 years later, Bill Clinton and George Bush have worked so hard in this campaign to identify with Harry Truman?
We miss that kind of directness that he represented. You always understood what he meant, and he always stood for something.
Harry Truman was raised on the family farm in Independence, Missouri. He had poor eyesight and glasses prevented him from playing sports, so he played the piano. He never went to college. He was farming when World War I intervened. Truman was in the artillery. It was seeing men die, he once said, that enabled him as president to drop the atomic bomb on Japan so as to save lives in the long run, he argued. He is often recalled as Harry Truman the haberdasher. He started a men's clothing store after the war, but it failed, and so he went to law school. But he didn't become a lawyer either. And he got into politics, and he eventually won a seat in the Senate. And eventually, Franklin Roosevelt chose him as his running mate because he was a stable kind of guy the party bosses liked and trusted.
Now, I admit it, Harry and I don't have everything in common.
But why does a Republican president in 1992 liken himself so to Harry Truman in 1948? Because in the 1948 campaign running on his own after Roosevelt died, Harry Truman was so far behind in the polls that one pollster said he wasn't going to conduct any more polls. Truman had fought bitterly with the Congress, which was Republican then. The public, and particularly the press, sensed that Thomas Dewey, the Republican governor of New York, was going to beat him. Harry Truman will be quoted in every political campaign because in 1948 he was the one who said, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. And he loved a good political fight.
And Harry Truman ran as an underdog, just as I am, and he liked it, and so do I.
Harry Truman woke up every day dedicated to doing right by the people with whom he grew up and with whom he lived.
The press didn't seem to think he was having an impact. But everywhere he went, he heard something like this.
We are proud of our record. All right, I'm doing it.
Still, by Election Day, all the polls and certainly the press were convinced that Dewey had it. The Chicago Tribune was the most blatant, and one of the most famous radio commentators, H.V. Kaltenborn, got it wrong.
And we are very sure that when the country vote comes in, Mr. Truman will be defeated by an overwhelming majority.
So when you hear George Bush liken himself to Harry Truman this year, and Bill Clinton invoke his name as well, remember this.
If we had 2 or 3 people of such caliber in our highest offices today, we would be very well served.
Mr. Truman served for almost 2 terms and decided he'd had enough. He never lost that feisty spirit, though. In 1964, when he was 80, a reporter asked him who he thought the Republicans would nominate to run against Lyndon Johnson.
And I don't give a damn who they nominate. We beat the hell out of him.
And so we choose Harry S. Truman. The S didn't stand for anything. Assessing his own presidency, he once told his daughter Margaret of an epitaph he'd seen on Boot Hill in Tombstone, Arizona. Here lies Jack Williams. He's done his damnedest. What else can a person do? That's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good weekend. Good night.
And now, the news continues with Channel 2 News at